Welcome to Kicks and Minivans, the podcast for dads who love sneakers. I'm your host, KG. However you're watching and listening, man, we appreciate you jumping on, tuning in, hanging out with us for a little bit. Well, this podcast exists to help men win in marriage and parenting. But I know it ain't just married men that listen to this. There's single dudes too. And some of y'all listen to prepare yourselves for that future life. And also just to gain wisdom about getting to your healthiest place, whether you're single or married, man. And that's great. We appreciate that. Today we have another great interview lined up. Saleem Wright is a pastor out of the Philadelphia area. Super stoked to have you guys listen in. And this is a little bit of a different interview. This was one of the most fun ones for me to put together. Saleem has a crazy fun Facebook page, man. He just posts what I think a lot of people would consider hot takes, controversial statements, but I agree with just about all of them, right? And so we are dubbing this episode Saleem's Hot Takes. And going in, he didn't really know. Usually I send a guest, a list of questions, outline to help him prepare and such. I ain't send him nothing because everything is straight from his Facebook page. All my questions are straight from his Facebook page. And I just want him to commentate on it. And there's stuff in there for singles. There's stuff in there for married men. This is a really fun episode. Hope you guys enjoy it. Let's jump in right now. Saleem, welcome to Kicks and Minivans. Thanks for joining the podcast, bro.
Yo, appreciate it, Cass. Appreciate the opportunity, man. Honored to be here for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, well, give us a little snapshot of Saleem. Tell us about who you are, what you do. Tell us about your fam.
Yeah, so I am married to my lovely wife, Raisha. We've been married 13 years as of last month. Made 13 years of marriage. 3 kids. Kyla, she just turned 12 yesterday.
Okay.
And then son Jonah, he's 2, and then another son Judah, he's 9. So love my family, love being a dad, love being a husband. Outside of my family, I'm in ministry, pastored for almost 9 years. Pandemic kind of hit our church really hard, so I'm no longer pastoring where I was. Right now, I'm just in the process of praying and seeing what my next assignment is. I've been teaching this past year at a high school, so still in the education space, and we'll see how that goes as far as employment. But I know my call as the pastor, and in the process of kind of getting that going. But yeah, I write too, working on a couple books. By the grace of God, I'll be able to get them out. So yeah, that's really it for me. Kind of basic, I guess.
That's awesome. And you're in the city of Philadelphia, correct? Or are you in the
right
outskirts?
On the outside.
Okay.
I'm on the outskirts of Philly, yeah.
Okay. For those now watching on YouTube, he's got the old school Philly P.
That's
Philly's
right, man.
P on his hat right there. I got the Kelly Green Eagles hat today, we repping our city. We love our city. Even though I'm not there anymore, I'm out in Indiana now. But
okay,
man, I love Philly. All right, so you were describe for them what kind of sneakerhead you are.
So sneakerhead I am is, if I see it, I like it, I just get it. It don't have to be like a pair of Jordans. It don't have to be my favorite sneaker all time is the Penny Ones. That's my favorite sneaker all time. And then the Kobe 8s are probably my second favorite. And then the Questions are probably my third favorite as far as sneakers. That's I love them Jones when they first dropped. Okay. But
you got a couple pair to show off for us?
Yeah, I got a couple pair to show off. So I got my psychedelic Jones, my Asics here.
Love the color.
I saw these in an ad, man. I was like, yo, these could go with anything. So I got these Jones here.
Yeah. That might be one of my favorite pair of Asics I've seen. I'm not a big Asics dude, but those are nice, man.
I said, yo, I gotta get them. So I just bought it. I was like, yeah, these is it right here. And then I got these. My wife just bought me these recently. They're called Cosmics, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
Nike made these. And they kind of funky, so I like them too. And then for when I want to be grown, my grown man, John.
The grown man,
John. My Bally shoes, which most people don't know about Bally shoes.
I don't know about those.
Yeah, man, these is like a classic. What kind of shoe would this say? I'm like not like a boat shoe, but these is classic, man. You could wear these.
They're giving me like a Reebok vibe. Like some of the Reeboks are a little bit of a similar style.
But these called Bally shoes. They Italian. They super comfortable. Like I wear no socks with them Jones, and it's like, listen. And every time I wear them, somebody like, yo, what's them? And it's like I tell them like they're Bally shoes. Like
it looked like a big summer shoe right there.
Yeah. So that's like, a couple pieces. I ain't gonna be competing with nobody when it comes to kicks, man.
Some neat. That's the thing, man. It's like get what you like. Unfortunately, a lot of the stuff I like is stuff that other people like, and so it's competitive and hard to get. But it's like you get what you like. That's
exactly
and rock what you like and enjoy wearing. That's what the sneaker game's about. Is there a dream pair that you would love to have one day?
Oh, a dream pair that I would love to have one day. That's a good question, man. Probably the Jason Kidd's. When Jason Kidd, and I can't even think which ones, but I think his first shoe that he released.
I forgot.
They got or probably some Scottie Pippins. I like Pippins. I like Pippins,
yeah.
Because when I was growing up, we had no money to get no kicks. It's just like it was enough for bills, and you get that one pair for school year.
Yup.
And I might get a pair of boots. So I had a pair of Timbs and a pair of sneakers, and that was it. You better clean. I clean my Timbs every day. I clean my sneakers every day.
Took care of them though.
Yeah, because
I burned through them when I was a kid, man. Like I had like the bottom tongue was like hanging down by a couple months into the school year because it's like we got the one pair a year,
Oh, man,
and if you outgrew them, it's too bad. My toes pushing through it. It's like that's what we can afford though, I
would go to my cousin's house. His family had money, so I'd be like, "Yo, cuz, let me get." He had all the Jordans. He had everything. So I was just go to his house and just like, let me borrow these Jones, man. He had like boxes of sneakers. Like I was like, listen. So that's how I kept up with the sneaker game, just borrowing his Jones.
Yeah,
so.
like look, we come from different worlds, but I need you to bless me right now.
Come on now, I'm like yo, cuz, let me get a pair of them. Yep.
Right on. All right, well, let's dive in, man. We usually on this podcast, like most podcasts, when you have a host and a guest, I'll come up with a list of questions and send them out to the guest. We did not do that, and usually. That's because I feel like you provided the material for this. Because for those of you that don't follow Saleem on Facebook, bro, your Facebook is like extreme entertainment. There's like a high entertainment value on your Facebook page. Because you post some hot takes, bro.
Yeah, I do.
Now,
I do.
I will also say I agree with like all of your hot takes. But you post some hot takes. So what I want to do is this episode... I agree with like all of them though. Like I don't know if I've seen one I disagree with. But I'm also like, yo, that's controversial and I don't know if I'd say it. So what I want to do is we're gonna dedicate this episode to Saleem's hot takes. So I'm gonna and I got receipts for all these. I screenshot all these. All right?
Oh my goodness,
man. I will say to start this off, it is not a hot take on all the stuff you post about the Eagles being great and the Cowboys sucking.
Listen, Cowboys
that is not
trash,
a hot take.
Man. That's not
anyone that disagrees with that is living in the 90s still.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's not a hot take. But there's some other ones on here. So we gonna start light, all right? So Saleem said on Facebook, and so I'm just gonna ask you to comment on each of these. We can expand on some of them because I think there's some great stuff to chop it up about. Starting light though, you said never in life has anyone asked me to stop and bring them some Arby's. I'm wondering who really eats there.
Bruh.
Have you had the curly fries though?
Yes, I have.
That's like the one thing saving them, keeping them in business. I feel like.
I'm telling you, I've never experienced that where everybody that stop at Wawa, stop at Wendy's, stop at McDonald's, like but no one's ever asked me to stop at Arby's. Never. Like. Never, and I'm just like, who eats there? Like, I didn't understand I see the commercials are dope, right? Commercials are dope.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't get it. It's roast beef. I'm like,
I'm not big on that.
No, I don't know anybody. It's like, yo, I'm trying to hit this roast beef up. Like, it's just, Nobody. I don't know nobody. So yes, I stand by that 100%. I still haven't experienced. And then people, my friends, are like, "Oh, I go eat at Arby's all the time." I'm like, I've never seen you eat Arby's. I've been out
Never
with
once.
you. We didn't go to the movies. Like we didn't get. Nobody said, "Yo, you try to hit up Arby's?" Nobody ever asked me that.
I feel like the only times I stopped there, they used to have like a happy hour where you could get like $1 cider and $1 shakes from like 2 to 4 or something, and like we'd go there for that. Or if we're like on a road trip and it's the only place to stop, like we'll hit it up.
Yeah.
So what's your go-to spot for like fast food then? Because clearly it ain't Arby's.
No, Chick-fil-A is the GOAT. And the crazy part is I don't eat meat products at all. And it's been like that for a while. So I'm a French fry connoisseur, I should say. But Chick-fil-A is the GOAT as far as fast food. Like my kids are like married to Chick-fil-A. So they love Sonic now too. They found out about Sonic. So they do Sonic. Yeah, those like Chick-fil-A's number one. And then the classics, like, and when I was in college, that's when I was eating meat. In college, go-to was Chick-fil-A. We had Chick-fil-A on campus, and then we would go right before they closed, and they would give us. They would give us mad food.
Chick-fil-A will bless you like that.
They will. That's the beautiful part.
Other places will throw it out. Chick-fil-A will bless you.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A was like, you were not going to eat it? Yeah, so it would be, Wawa was like, I know Wawa's no drive-thru or whatever, but being from Philly / Jersey.
In the Philly area, that's like
Wawa is just like,
I miss Wawa
clutch.
So bad,
oh
man.
my goodness.
I miss it so bad.
We would hit up Wawa, we get the big fruit punch, we get like the roast beef subs, like this.
Oh, here you go with the roast beef though. You just said no one's getting a roast beef.
But Arby's though. It's Arby's. Like this is Arby's. Wawa, I don't know. Wawa, once you're in Wawa, you looking at the menu like, oh, let me try this, let me try that. And everybody hits a Wawa because it's 24/7.
Yep, everyone.
Or, and McDonald's.
It's a way of life out there. It really is a way of life out there.
Yeah. So, I grew up with McDonald's, of course, so,
All right, we'll get a little more serious with this one. I loved this one though. This one hit me on a spiritual level, right?
Amen.
You said, I'm utilizing the delete button has become a spiritual discipline for me. Mm-hmm. Expand on that. Yeah. Because that hit me, bro.
Bro, I will sit and... Because I don't post whatever comes to my mind. I post whatever I really sense strongly needs to be said. Right? A lot of stuff comes to my mind, I just dismiss it. But sometimes I'll type a whole post out and I'll just be like, this is not worth the fight. Like, it's not...
Choose your battles.
So, yeah, I choose my battles, and I'm just like, delete. And that's also happened in ministry, like writing something that I'm going to preach on. I'm just like, nah, delete. Or texting people, nope, let me just hit delete. And so I believe the Holy Spirit is using that discipline to help me kind of self-control because, the stuff I be wanting to say, a lot of times the Holy Spirit is like, it's not necessary to be said. Because I don't want to use social media to be quarreling just to be quarreling, right? Like if I post something controversial, which in my mind, I feel like I'm trying to get I'm trying to hit the nail on the head when it comes to truth, and not my opinion. It's like, okay, all right, I feel like this is the truth, and not my truth or that truth. I'm just like, I feel like this is the truth about the subject. Right. And, and when you said you were a fan, I'm just like, listen, I done got inboxes, I done got people blocking me. Listen, people, and I'm just like, I look at social media like, man, it's a mission field. So if I can put stuff up there that kind of thought-provoking and even triggering when it comes to, man, how you living? Is this what God has called us to do, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, the delete button for real has become... It's a spiritual discipline. It's
that mindset of everything that's said should be true, but not everything that's true needs to be said.
100%.
So I'll be honest. When I read that, I didn't go into the comment section on that one, but I interpreted that as deleting people off Facebook. That's how I read it. And I was like, yo, I don't delete friends on Facebook very often, but I will hide them.
Gotcha.
Because I'm like, I've deleted people in the past, and then they've approached me in real life like, why you delete me on Facebook? I'm like, because you're toxic. So I just hide them, and then I don't see their posts on my feed no more. So that's how I interpreted that, but I also love what you're...
That's a great interpretation, because, to be honest, I've only blocked people that I feel like are trying to personally attack me,
but they only want to fight
attack my family. Like, you just, because it's like, I can go to war as far as debating with anybody, atheist, agnostic, Buddhist, it don't matter. Like, I have no problem, all the smoke, no problem. But when people don't want to let's just talk about the truth. Let's talk about the stay on topic, and you want to just attack it. Like, I posted a video of I go on dates with my kids and my wife. I go on dates. So me and my son going on a date at Chick-fil-A, and this guy gets on there and he starts talking about my son. He starts talking about white supremacy and all this, and I'm just like, oh, bro, I'm done, because I'm not going there with you on this. Like, that's not for that. And it was like, he's one of these people, and I know him personally. He's one of these people that feels like his ideology is so righteous that anybody who disagrees is like condemned. And I was like, and because I don't rock with this, you shouldn't rock with this. And I'm just like, number one, your ideology is wrong. But number two, your approach is like, now you're getting personal. And it's like, I'm not here to get personal. I'm not going to personally attack you, period, and definitely not on social media. But yeah, I think your interpretation was a good one, because I've had to hide people and unfollow people with the toxic, and then people with the pictures that they posted and stuff. I was like, I don't need to see that. I don't want to. So yeah, when I wrote it, that wasn't on my mindset, but I've done that.
I love that you clarified what you meant by it. But yeah, I think both of those are valid things. And it becomes different when they attack the subject or the discussion is one thing. When they start attacking you or especially your family, it's like, I'm charged with protecting them. Like, that ain't gonna,
that's not gonna fly.
That'll get you to delete button real quick.
Yeah, real quick.
All right, so this is a podcast for marriage and parenting. We do have some single men that listen to this, right? We got some single dads that listen to it, and we got some, unmarried, no kids guys that listen to this, like, in preparation for that life. Looking forward to that in their future, and I think that's super dope. So you post some stuff to singles on Facebook, though, right? Yep. So let's. You said, "Dear my single sister, a man only needs 6 months or less to know if you're worth marrying. Years together with no rings is just procrastination of the inevitable."
Yeah,
and I agree with you, but expand on that.
So this is my thing, man. Like, I knew I was going to marry my wife in less than a year. Like,
How old were you?
We got married at 20. I got married at 26. I met her when I was 20. I met her when I was 23. Now, I didn't see her. Once I saw her as like, oh, that was like, it was so quick. It wasn't before me getting the revelation that, like, okay, this is my wife, or this is the woman I'm going to choose to marry. There was just building a friendship, a solid friendship. So it wasn't love at first sight. It wasn't like, oh, she saw me, I saw her, I knew she was the one. It wasn't any of that. But once we got to the point where it's like, man, I want to marry you, it was quick. I'm not getting no long engagements. I'm not. And in my experience, because it's generally speaking, of course, there's exceptions where people get married after. But what I found, especially in counseling people, if they've been together for 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and then they get married, they most likely end in divorce. Like, they most likely, it doesn't. We moved in together. We got 3 kids together. We going, and they end up getting divorced, or they end up living as roommates, and it's not functional. What I found, especially for men are visual. So what we see, we want, we go get. Is this? We're wired that way. So if, like, you see her, she presents to you the qualities of a wife, you gonna make the decision to marry her. You're not gonna procrastinate. You're not gonna be like, listen, she the one, and put a ring on it, bam. And if she's with that, she'll go along with that because she feels secure knowing that, okay, he's going to take me. And I think women love and crave and need primarily security so much that they'll stay with a guy with the hopes of this working out, because I've been with you this long, then I don't want to put all this work in and then it doesn't work out. So they'll be strung along. Me and my wife known couples were engaged like 7, 8 years.
I don't get that. Yeah.
What are you doing? And I talked to one guy. I was like, "Yo, bro, why y'all not married?" He's an old man. I was like, I was like, it ain't the money. Like, don't hit me with that.
You can always say the money. Yeah.
I need to. No, it's not the money. Is you really don't want to marry her, but y'all got kids together. Y'all live together, and you just want to. But you don't want to marry her. And I think men aren't really honest with that. And I want to let sisters know, like, there's a timetable from when he meets you to him, like, showing interest. He's already thinking about it. He's already thinking about it. And then if he know, he gonna go. So,
all right, I got a few questions on this, and how because you do premarital counseling and stuff. You've been married 13 years. How much does premarital sex, if the woman's willing to give it up to the dude, how much will that like impact him delaying proposing?
Man, that's like you giving away your kryptonite. You giving your secret, all right? You giving what's the quickest way to break you down? If you start giving him sex, he got you. That's like the one thing a woman has, especially in our society, that is valuable. It's like your purity. And if he knows I can get that without giving you security and commitment, I'm never going to give you security and commitment.
Yeah.
There's no point. Right, because there was an incentive to getting married, or historically speaking, like you cannot get anything from her sexually unless that was your wife. Generally speaking, right? So if a woman decides that okay, I'm going to give him sex in order to keep him, she's giving him sex and she's actually losing him.
Wow.
He's not going to commit to you more because you gave him sex. He's going to commit to you more when he realizes, like, man, she's valuable, and I can't just treat her like I treat all these other women. So I got to make a decision. It's like she's not just giving; she's not easy. So yeah, and I think even the statistics bear that out. Premarital sex tends to lead more people to divorce than to faithful and committed marriage.
Yeah, hot takes, but I agree, man. Yeah, you don't see many people that regret waiting.
Nope.
You don't hear stories of that.
Nope.
You just don't. You hear a lot of people that regret giving it up too soon.
Yep.
But you don't hear stories of people that regret waiting.
Nope.
And so, man, if you're single and listen to this, like, it's worth waiting. Whether you're a dude or a female listening to this.
Man, listen,
like,
trust me, I waited. Me and my wife waited. By the grace of God, we didn't have sex until after we got married. Obviously, we didn't have any kids until after we were married. And that was just by God's grace. Because we didn't come from that background. Like, I wasn't a stranger to church, but I got saved. I was saved later in life, so to speak. So I knew what the church taught. Church I had went to as a kid, they never preached like, oh, you should try it before you buy it. They just preached abstinence, purity. They preached it. So I wasn't converted, so it wasn't like I was like, okay, all right, I'm gonna
this
keep
ain't
myself.
Applying. Yeah.
I was like, all right, I'm gonna commit. I'm in the youth group. I'm gonna commit. But once the opportunity came, I was like, forget that.
Yeah.
Then I went to college, and it was like, this is behind me, But yeah, I think like that piece, man, of waiting is like crucial, and it helps you when you get married because there's going to be seasons and times in your life where you're not having sex as much as you would like. That's like her hormonal issues. You can have physical issues. Somebody get injured. Like my wife has had like 4 surgeries. So if I had no self-control, it'd be like, what am I gonna do? All right. You have to have a discipline of self-control. And the Bible even tells us we should practice that. Separate for a period of time and then come back together. Like you can't be separated for too long because then the enemy comes in. But you definitely want to have a practice of self-control. What if the Lord said, okay, I need you to go on the missions field? I got to get some, so I'm going to mess with the village girl. You got to have a discipline of self-control when it comes to that area. And it starts before you get married.
Yeah, that sets a foundation for it. All right, so this hot take kind of follows in that vein. You said, dear singles, what you do while you're single can qualify and disqualify you for marriage.
Yep.
100%. What do you mean by that?
100%, right? So keeping it funky, right? It's different rules for men and women, in my opinion. So, a woman, any woman that listens to this, there's a guy that will marry you right now. Like, there's a guy that would just be like, he'll marry you right now. You probably looking at him like, I would never marry him. But there's some desperate guy.
There's some dude trapped in the friend
you
zone
your
right
whole
now.
life, and he will marry. But you know you don't want to marry him, right? So the guys that you probably do want to marry, if you have not prepared yourself, and I would say a righteous way, right? Man, your reputation, your purity, your all of that, chances of you marrying that guy is slim to none, because that guy is going to look at you like, why would I marry you and you've done this, 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 and this? So does it make you unqualified for marriage overall? No, but what I'm speaking to is like, you want to marry this person, and that person looking at your reputation, they're looking at your history, they're looking at, you know, the type of person you are, the type of character you have. Like, it's plenty of guys, it's plenty of quote unquote beautiful girls that's like, man, how come nobody wants me? Your attitude is trash. Like, look how you treated people growing up. Like, look how you were in the neighborhood. Like, you know, you made dudes like kiss your feet and all that. Dudes like, I don't want to deal with that, right? And the same is true for guys. Like, you like, yo, it's this girl I really like, but she don't want to deal with me because I got a reputation, or I'm lazy, or, you know, I never could keep a steady job. Like, it's so much stuff you can do to disqualify yourself from marriage. And I've talked to many of people who are much older than both of us that are not married. And when you get into their story, it's like, man, you had opportunities, but you blew it. Right? You blew it. You treated that one person that would have made a great spouse, you treated them like a doormat. Or you ran through so many partners that like you don't know which way is up, left, right, or down when it comes to marriage. Or you were so pure, you didn't give anybody a chance, and now you like a 60-year-old virgin. Like, yeah, because you dismissed everybody. Nobody was holy enough for you, and all this. There's so many categories of people that have disqualified themselves because they didn't treat their singleness the way it should have been treated. You know, in my opinion, you know. So, yeah, I think it's a lot of singles out here that's going to be old singles. Like, they're gonna be old singles, and as someone who's talked to many men and women who want to be married, and the people they want to marry don't want to marry them, it's like, well, let's get into why they don't want to marry you, or why he will never propose to you, or why she would never accept a proposal from you. There's reasons for that, and it probably comes down to what you've been doing in your singleness, or what you've been doing with your singleness that really is not being checked. You know, you shacking with this person, but you know you're not going to get married. So now, because you've been shacking, the person that probably would marry you is like, I'm moving on to somebody else.
Yeah,
because
you
caught up in this relationship, you know, you're not supposed to be in. And I think people are not honest. Most people that listen to this, that's single in a relationship, they know if they're supposed to be in that relationship. And it's not, you don't need prayer, you don't need discernment, you don't need the scriptures. You just know, I'm not supposed to be with that person. But you're trying to, quote unquote, make it work.
And you reach a certain age where you have to stop playing games.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
100%.
you know, you're 20, 21, 22. It's like you playing games still, right?
Right.
Like, you start getting, like, close to 30. Like, I'm 32, you know. Like, you start getting close to 30. Like, you stop playing games.
Yeah, you do.
And I think, like, that 6 months or less thing to know if she's your wife, I think the closer you get to 30 and beyond that, like, the more and more real that timeline gets, and maybe even the shorter, because, man, a 30, 35-year-old man that's single, like, for the most part, a man knows where he wants to go in life.
Right.
And he's not just looking for a pretty piece of arm candy. Like, he's looking for someone he could build a life with.
Exactly.
You know, he's looking for someone that can, their visions align for what they want to do in life. And he's looking for a partner. To build that way. Like, he ain't just looking for a pretty face.
100%.
And so, yeah, like, I love how you expanded on that. What you do qualifies you or disqualifies you, man. It's that idea of, like, be the person that the person you're looking for is looking for.
100%, man.
You know, like, if you
100%.
want this kind of guy or this kind of girl, what type of person are they looking for, and become that person?
Right.
You know, because I believe you can change.
Yes. I believe you can 100% change for sure. And I think we have to be realistic too, you know, about, okay, if I've lived this crazy single lifestyle and I'm like 30 years old, 31, 32, I have to be realistic about my chances of getting married. All right. I was like, okay, it doesn't mean I can't get married, but now I got to think about it from the perspective of who have I alienated in my life that would never give me a chance because of how I lived and how I treated people as a single. I need to just let that go and be like, okay, they may never look at me as marriage material, but the people that don't know me, that I want them to meet the person that's changed, that's a possibility. That's an opportunity. So I got to really shift my focus and shift my character to put myself out there for people that don't know me. That's going to take a while to get them to know who you are. Because statistically, you marry people that know you. Statistically, you marry people in your circle, most likely. People you went to school with, people grew up in the neighborhood with, people you used to work with like for a long time. Those are people you typically marry. But if you're a trash person as a single, none of those people gonna want to marry.
They all know that.
They all know you're trash.
Yeah.
Male or female, like you a trash person. They're not even going. And so now it's like I can't find nobody because the last 7 people, look how you treated them. You didn't even have to be in a relationship with them, but you just got your character just horrible. You have no integrity. You have no honor. You're not faithful to nothing. Like you down people, you talk about people, or you treat people bad. People watching, they looking like you're not a good person.
Because a real man or a real woman would prefer to stay single than marry somebody like that.
100%. They're like, I'm not even going. And you could be the best looking person in your group.
Right.
They're like, why? You know why you single? Because you an ugly person on the inside. That's why you single.
Yup. Proverbs says a lot about that, man. Proverbs says a lot about that. And if anyone would know, Solomon was the dude that would know that.
He would know.
All right, one more hot take about singles, then I want to dive into some of the married stuff.
That's fine, man.
Oh man, you had so many good ones. I don't know. All right,
Jesus.
You said, "Dear sis, remember this at the cookout. If he's not your husband or your son, he can make his own plate."
Come on now. Listen, I got a daughter, man. That's my first child. And I've been, all the stuff that I haven't posted about, listen, I talk to her about this every day. She get a mouth, because I'm like, I need to prepare you for marriage at a young age. I need to prepare you for your calling at a young age. And it's like, listen, I know how guys are. I'm a guy. There's plenty of women out here making plates for dudes. They got no intention of marrying them, no intention of wifing them, and it's like you bring him a plate, and everybody looking like he ain't gonna marry you. Because especially in the black family, making a plate for a man is a sign of marriage. It's like
it's very different than our culture as white people.
Listen, it's like
that's not a thing. Like no one says make a plate like
that's
that.
That's a thing, bro. That's a real thing. It's like, yo, she made me a plate. Like that's like a rite of passage almost. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she made me a plate. And it's like, and I'm not saying you can't ever do it. What I'm saying is that you're constantly making this dude a plate, and he has no intention of wifing you, but you don't wife stuff. Like, that's what making the plate, the equivalent is the wife thing. Right? If I was putting one for the dudes, I'm like, why are you going over taking out her trash? And she don't even like you like that. That's what husbands do. Husbands go take the trash out. She called me, can you come change my tire? You better call AAA. I've been wanting to be with you and marry you, and the only reason you hit me up is when you want to. No. No. So, no, you get no changed tires. You get no, you know what I'm saying? And you know how I feel about you. You know I really like you. But you like, nah, I see you as my brother. Okay, cool. Well, call your real brother.
Call your real brother. I was just about to say.
Call your real brother. I don't want to be a brother. And, you know. Yeah, so the making the plate is a big deal. And my cousin hit me up, and she was like, yo, that's so true. Like, she was just like, she's like, I never thought about that. I was like, listen, man, it's just, stop making these plates for these guys, man.
You felt strongly enough about it to post it. You didn't delete this one.
No, I didn't delete it.
Right, so you posted it, but you're saying it goes beyond just the making a plate. That's just a metaphor.
It's the metaphor.
It's a literal and a metaphor.
Yeah, it's a literal.
I like it though.
I wish my daughter would be making some nappy head boy plate. I'm like, he better make his own plate, and I'm not going to tell him you better make her plate, because sometimes that goes that way too. It's like, why is he going out of his way for you, right? And you know you have no intention of like doing anything with him. Like you don't like him, you're just using him. The metaphor is really speaking to don't use people. Right?
Yeah.
Don't get used by a guy who really does not have any intentions for you. You know, now if that's your homie, yes, you can make a plate for your homies, your friends, but fine. But I'm talking about like y'all don't know what this relationship is, and you out here doing wifey stuff. And it's like, nah, he can make his own plate.
Yeah. Now I do think, you know, the biggest piece of marriage advice that I often give out is just serve your spouse. Right? Like I just think like man, a marriage that's built on service to one another that's a great foundation to have. And so I think if you are single in a relationship and there's a potential and possibility that it's headed in that direction and y'all are both aligned on that, make a plate. Take out the trash, you know, like do those things. Practice that serving now.
Because it has to be demonstrated.
Because that foundation will get laid there. That once you get married, it's like, all right, we just step this thing up a notch.
Exactly.
But we're already used to it. So
and a woman and a man whose heart is of service, they won't just make you a plate. They'll be asking, you need anything? And that's the thing.
Yes.
When I work with singles, I'm like, listen, you got to see this person in all seasons. He or she may be doing something for you just for you, but they're really selfish because they're doing that to demonstrate to you, look, I'm not selfish. But you never see them go out of their way to help nobody else. You never see them do anything for anybody else. It's like, wait a minute, we went to the cookout and they were cleaning up and you sat there on your phone. You didn't pay attention to that. Like, wait a minute, the ladies was doing all this stuff in the kitchen and you you can't cook, cool. But you didn't go ask the ladies if they need some help. That's stuff you got to pay attention to. Yeah. But in front of people, I made this plate. Or in front of people, I changed her tire. Yeah, but you're not really selfless. You're not really a servant, all right? I've watched dudes, like, they folding tables and bruh sitting there. And I'm like, this the dude you want to, you like?
Yup. That speaks volumes, man. That's like,
listen.
and that's when me and my wife were dating still. And I already had it in my mind that I was going to marry her. Right, I just hadn't, I was looking for rings at this point. Like it was that summer in 2013. We were at my aunt and uncle's house for dinner. My grandpa lived with them, and he's in his 90s at this point. He's passed away since, but like he was, probably early 90s at that point. And after dinner, she got up to get him a slice of pie or cake or whatever it was, and I just remember just watching her go up and get my grandpa a piece of pie, and I'm just watching her. I'm like, oh, I'm definitely marrying her.
Come on, man.
I'm like I already knew in my mind that I was.
But it's solidified.
But I'm like,
man.
yup.
This the icing on the cake.
Like now that you say it and verbalize it, like I remember that moment because I'm like, all right, it's one thing for her to get up and get me a piece of pie.
Right.
But I'm like, she getting up to get my grandpa a piece of pie.
I'm like, that.
Like it's so small. It's so small.
And that's the stuff that makes the relationship. That's the stuff that makes the marriage last. Like the Bible says, the little foxes spoil the vine. It's the little stuff that makes marriages great. It's not the grandiose.
Yes.
I think those are great. I've done those for my wife, but it's the small stuff. Like
it's the small everyday things.
She forgot her lunch. Let me bring her lunch. You know what I'm saying? It's the text message to say, "Hey, I'm praying for you today," out of the blue. Like it's like the grandiose gestures are great. Pull them off. You should have them, right? But that's not going to sustain your marriage. It's the small stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's the part, like her getting your grandfather piece, she don't even know, like, listen, that got you the ring. Like that right there was like, this is the one.
Yup.
You gotta, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta see people in different seasons. And just I don't want to take too much time. But when you talk about the sex aspect, right? The sex aspect, this is what I teach singles. A sexless singleness keeps you sober for relationship decisions. Right?
Yes.
Right? Because what sex does, sex is a drug. It's a great drug. It's a drug that God said, look, you have a lot of it with your wife, your husband.
God don't get enough credit for it, man.
It's one of the greatest inventions God ever created.
Come on, bro.
And it's something married people should be doing as much as they possibly can.
That was a day 8. That was a day 8 creation right there.
Listen, God was like, I'm about to hook y'all up, right? So, yes. But when you're single, it's not it clouds your judgment. You're inebriated and you can't focus. So you'll be looking at her like, man, she's this, she's that. And you won't be paying attention to the small stuff. It won't even cross your mind. Won't even cross your mind.
Yeah, I remember a couple years ago, I was having a conversation with a dude in my church that, he started dating this girl, and he was talking to me because he was kind of new to the faith, and he's like, bro, like, she's the first girlfriend I've had that doesn't want to have sex. And he's like, it's weird that, like, I'm doing it for God. And I'm like, well, bro, like, you're not doing it for God. You're doing it for you. You're doing it for her. Like, you're honoring God.
You're right.
But God didn't lay those foundations out for him.
Right.
Like, he ain't laying those out because it hurts him. He's laying it out because it hurts you, and it hurts her, and it hurts your future spouse. And so, God didn't set those things because he wants to kill your fun. He wants to maximize your joy and your pleasure of it. And he knows that this is the best way to do that. And so, yeah, God don't get enough credit for that. Let's jump into a couple married things since we headed in there right now. You said, dear husbands, the order is God, wife, children, and everyone else. Let's keep that same energy and maintain the same order. That's a hot topic. That's an extremely hot topic right now, especially when you put God in the number one seat. But then putting your spouse above your kids is a hot topic as well.
Yes.
Why are you saying that order?
Because if you follow the creation narrative, number one, that's the order in which God set it up. Himself in relationship with Adam and Eve. All right. Before Adam and Eve got married, God had a relationship with both of them. All right. Because he created Adam, relationship with Adam. He creates Eve. By the mere fact of creating Eve, has a relationship with Eve. Then Adam and Eve see each other, they get married. Then comes Cain, Abel, and Seth, as far as we know, right? So that's the setup, right? That's the first reference point to, like, okay, if I'm thinking about getting married and I'm honoring God, how did God do it? That's how he did it, all right? Second thing it needs to be like that is because if you go to the New Testament, Jesus talks about loving your wife as Christ loved the church, esteeming her, honoring her, right? Wives, submit to your husbands, right? Submission's a cuss word now for some reason, but like all of that stuff is paramount to laying a foundation before kids come in. Kids are the byproduct of a marriage, right? They're not the appetizer before the marriage shows up, which a lot of times that's happening. And so kids are produced out of a marriage, which the foundation has to be strong. Because what happens a lot of times is people pour themselves into themselves, or they pour themselves into their kids. Sometimes they pour themselves into their spouse before God. But in my experience, most people, especially when they have kids, they pour everything into their kids. They neglect God. They even neglect their spouse. And then when the kids get older and do what kids do, like move out, you're left looking at your wife or your husband like, I don't even know you.
Yeah.
I don't even like you. I only stayed with you because we had kids together. Yeah. And we gotta keep doing them Christmas cards and making those appearances and showing up at church and letting people look at it like, oh, they're such a great couple. Keep posting on the gram and posting on social media. But I'm only here for the kids. And then meanwhile, God is like number 4. It's like
if he's even in the picture, yeah.
So if he's even in the picture, like how do you take? Let's say you and your wife bought a house, right? And your parents gave you the money to buy the house, and you bought the house because of what your parents did to bless you with. You live in the house like 15 years. The last time you talked to your parents was the day they gave you the money for the house. It's like you wouldn't have the house if it wasn't for them.
Yeah, yeah.
No one has marriage if it's not for God. No one has kids if it's not for God. No one has life if it's not for God. The universe doesn't exist if not for God. So because God is the first of all things, the Alpha and Omega, first and last of all things, he can never be out the picture, right? he is the picture. He's the main actor. He's the main character. Like he's the main reason why I'm married. He's the main reason why marriage exists. And it's like, and if we lose sight of that, everything else gets out of focus. Because I tell my kids in a heartbeat, like, I love your mom more than I love y'all.
Yep.
I tell my wife, I love God more than I love you. And she tell me that too. Matter of fact, that was the criteria before we got married. I need to marry somebody that loves God more than they love me. Because when I show them my sinful nature and my flaws, if their love for me is over God, they're going to resent me and they're going to resent God for giving them somebody that's imperfect. It's like everybody is imperfect.
Wow.
And then
when you get married, you just see how imperfect they really are.
Yes, it's bruh. The flaws is everywhere. It's everywhere. Everybody's gonna marry somebody imperfect. That's like when I watch celebrity culture and I see how many times people get married and divorced. I'm like, that's because they're looking for perfection in the wrong place. You looking for somebody that's perfect. That's Hollywood, and Hollywood don't even get it right.
No.
That's movie stuff. That ain't like, come on, that's not real life.
They live happily ever after. Right?
No, man.
Yeah. All right, let me ask you this. Because in all your experience working with couples, 50% of households are blended households to some degree, right? And so you have, a husband and wife together. One of them has a kid from a previous relationship or previous marriage. How do you advise those couples in ordering this order, right? Because God first, like that can, as long as everyone's on the same page with that makes sense, right? But wife brings an 8-year-old son into the picture. Like, there's got to be a little more tension about saying, I'm going to put your stepdad above you, essentially, right? Like, that's just a different tension than, me and my wife, the two boys are both ours.
Right.
How do you go about talking with couples about that?
Yeah, so both couples have to understand you are in for a journey that is more arduous than if you had done it the way God set it up. It does not mean it can't be redeemed. It doesn't mean it can't be blessed. It doesn't mean it can't be joyful. It doesn't mean it can't be plentiful. What it means is the level of work it's going to take to order your household is going to be more it's going to be more challenging because you're trying to fit pieces that naturally were never supposed to be there. Right, but supernaturally, God can fit anything together. Right? He took 12 unlearned fishermen and changed the world. So that's not it's not beyond God to completely get this thing in order. But what it means is that you have to have two people, singular mindset, that we are going to orient our house the way God intended. So if I'm bringing a child to this marriage, you're bringing a child to this marriage, these children need to know from day one that it is God supreme, mommy and dad, then y'all. Before this, it was mommy, son, then all these other people. Or daddy, son, all these other people. That has shifted. And it needs to be so preached because the kids are going to buck against that. The family members are going to buck against that. The parents you're co-parenting with, they're going to buck against that. So you have to have a singular focus that said, you know what, this marriage is worth it. We are committed to God. We are committing to get our house in order. And I know people, one of my best friends, he's a blended family. And he's shared with me some stories of stuff he's had to go through. But him and his wife had a singular focus that this is how we going to do it. And whoever don't want to get with the program, if there are kids, they'll get with it eventually. And it took years and tears and yes, it's going to take blood, sweat, and tears, literally, to put this thing in order. Because it's going to take that even if they are your kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Me and my wife, 3 kids. Like, it's still taking blood, sweat, and tears. But the level that it's going to take because it's out of order. And I think that's the part that people don't take seriously. Like, a bastard child, a child born out of wedlock, that's a problem. And don't just think, we're going to dedicate this baby. Cool, I've dedicated babies of single parents, no problem with that. But a bastard child there are consequences with that that can never be overlooked. It doesn't mean God can't redeem. It doesn't mean God can't heal. Doesn't mean that's irrelevant. But there's still stuff that comes with that.
Right.
You still baby daddies, baby mamas, grandparents that don't want them around. Like there's a lot of stuff you got to deal with, and you have to have two people that are so strong in their faith. It's like, we're gonna make this work.
Because you know what it does too. If mom brings a son into a relationship with a stepdad, if that mom and stepdad are so focused on each other and the marriage, that little boy doesn't have to have another daddy that leaves him.
Nope, he doesn't.
Like that, he has a new dad that's there for him.
That's there for him.
When you focus on that, and I love how you say, like, it's the same idea. It's just there are extra barriers in place that you have to overcome. And it is more work, and that's part of the consequence of it. It doesn't mean it's not beautiful. It doesn't mean God, doesn't have a plan for that child's life. Like, he absolutely does. But there's just extra work that goes along with it.
And that's just what it is. And I think because, especially in the church, people want to just gloss over everything. Like, this is your third baby shower by your third child, third baby shower, 3 different daddies. There's some stuff that's gonna come with that if you want to be married.
Yeah.
And if you want to stay single, there's stuff to come with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like people who aren't virgins when they get married. There's some stuff that come with that. You could have STD scares, pregnancy scares. It's all types of stuff that come with that. All right. This is why God said the ideal, and I work from the ideal. The ideal is the standard. I'm not the standard. My wife's not the standard. Our story, God's word is the standard. Yep. This is how He set it up. Adam and Eve were virgins. Adam and Eve did not have sex before they got married to each other. Like that's the ideal. So you work from there, and it's like how close am I to the ideal? Adam and Eve were mature adults. All right. I don't know chronologically their age, but they both were mature because Adam knew Eve after he married her. And she wasn't around as far as chronologically, depending on how you view Genesis, she wasn't around chronologically that long. So they were created as fully formed adult human beings that were mature enough to get married. We're not born like that, right? We're not born adults. We have to, so there's maturity with that. So how close am I to the ideal, right? How close am I to the mark? The closer I'm to the mark, the less stress that puts on my marriage. The further away from the mark, the more stress that puts. So if I got 2 kids, I'm divorced, I got baby daddy drama, baby mama drama, then I want to get married, I'm pretty far from the ideal. So that means that's going to take more work to get there, right? Yeah. And then that's the creation ideal, but the ultimate ideal is Jesus and the church.
Yep.
That's the ultimate, right? How we're supposed to love the church. Now, we're supposed to be the ideal church, not the way the church actually treats Jesus. Right? We're supposed to be the ideal church, right?
We ain't gonna get off on too much of a tangent
exactly.
with that one. Yeah. Well, I do want to. I got 2 more hot takes that you posted that I want to get to real quick, and then we'll let you go, man. You will sometimes post like conversations, and I don't know if they're like real conversations that happened or like. My guess is that they're based on a real conversation at the very least, right?
Yeah.
But you kind of like will type out this like dialogue with different emojis and stuff, right? So I'm gonna skip the emojis of this one. But you said one, a female approach. You said, "Pastor, I need to meet with you." You said, "What's the meeting about?" She said, "I'm dealing with some personal stuff." You said, "Okay, cool. I'll let my wife know, and we can figure out a time for us to meet." You said, "I just need to meet with you." You said, "The only woman I'm ever alone with is my wife." For some reason, that is a hot take. That's probably an unpopular.
Bruh.
Listen, bro. To me, I'm like, yeah, that's common sense. Like, that ain't so common though.
It's not
right?
common,
like,
man.
Have you ever gotten pushback on? Clearly, you have because you posted it on Facebook. So clearly, you've gotten some sort of pushback about that in your career.
The pushback comes with, "Oh, okay, well, I don't want to meet anymore." That's usually the pushback. "Oh, well, let me think about a time," and they never come up with a time. All right. I've had friends of mine, pastors, that they literally got told off. Like, "Well, I don't want to meet with your wife. I just want to meet with you. You're my pastor." And he's like, you can meet with the deaconess. Like, you ain't got to meet with me, right? So the reality for me, especially in ministry, is that there are people that just want you all to themselves. And it's a dangerous place for a man to put himself in a vulnerable position by being alone with a woman that's not his wife. Period. Like, you only got to be a pastor. This is just, you need to protect yourself, right? You at work, you walk into the break room, it's a woman in there. I'll take a break later. Like, I'm not, because we have to walk with a certain discernment, right? A certain discernment about perception and about the reality. And it's like, the world that we're living in is crazy. It's crazy that we're living in, and Christians are so naive. You know, I've heard pastors say, well, I'll counsel. I don't have a problem counseling a woman. Like, she can come to my office and I'm just looking like, by herself? You ain't got your secretary, your assistant. Like, that's not even best practice, period, when you talk about, you know, trying to do some real counseling. Like, you need an objective party in there to record or whatever. It's like, you can't just be running around here one-on-one, you know, and stuff like that. And unfortunately, it's the naive part, and not thinking like, man, people really want you. You know what I mean? People really want to, and they may not quote unquote want you. They just may be envious or jealous of what you have. So they're trying to sabotage that. You know what I mean? So it's just really protection, you know, and I haven't experienced it a lot, but, you know, I have experienced it, and I know plenty of pastors that it's happened to them more times than they can count, where it's just like, they just want to meet with them alone. And it's like, I'm not meeting with you alone. There's nothing on the planet we need to meet with alone about. Like, it's not.
Wow.
There's nothing. There's nothing.
Yeah. And it's that idea of being above reproach, and not even a hint of sexual immorality, right?
Not even.
And so, you know, this isn't a Christian podcast, but obviously that's like the worldview that I come from, that you come from,
right?
And it's like, even if you're not a Christian and you're still rocking with us at this point, man, like, props to you. Yeah. And this isn't us saying like, hey, you have to be a Christian or else it ain't. Like, no, this is the way that we believe God created the world and everyone in it. And we believe he laid these foundations out because it is what's best for us.
Man, it's for a reason, man. I'd have talked to atheists, and they see the stuff that's going on, and I'm just like, listen, man, God got standards and laws for a reason. And they don't even believe in God, but they still believe that, man, this is wrong out here. You know? It's like, you know what I'm saying? So you really gotta I tell my son and my daughter, protect yourself at all times. Like, protect yourself at all times, and just being aware, like, just being basic awareness. Now, I think that's crucial, and that's really what that post was speaking to. It's just like, no, I'm not going to meet with you. I have no reason to. Like, I have no reason to meet with you by myself.
Nothing good will come out of it. All right, last one. You said, this isn't even a hot take necessarily, but you said your ministry can't be successful if your family is falling apart. Respectfully.
Respectfully. Gotta put respectfully on there, because all, you know, feelings be all in it. But
this happens though, man. Where it's people that look like they have this thriving ministry, or, you know, even take it outside of the church world. It's like people that have these look at Bill Gates, Tom Brady. Bro, people that are at the pinnacle
Jeff Bezos
of life.
Jeff Bezos, yeah.
You know, and then it's their family falls apart. And it's like Tom Brady decided to come back for one more season. And I'm like, was that worth it, bro?
Exactly.
Like, you know, and so...
Because this is the thing, man. If your family is a failure, you're a failure. It's just...
come on.
And what happens a lot of times is, especially men, we are so goal driven, so success, so status driven. Like, for men, it's all about status and respect. It's like number one. And so whatever we believe gives us status, that's what we cling to. All right. So this conversation around, you know, whatever this new language is around the type of man and like high value man, all this stuff that people are doing. Like, the number one criteria of a high value man, allegedly, is how much he makes. right? So it's
That
like
bar.
you gotta have
Right.
6 figures, right?
Right.
6 figures somehow starts you at the bar of being a high value man, right? Kingdom minded man, it's like, no, it's a man with high values, right? A man with high values is what you need to aspire to be, right? And that's for me being a Christian, for us being Christians, it's like Christ is the standard. I don't know how much Jesus made. Have no clue. I know he got some gold, some frankincense, some myrrh. That's as much money and resources as far as I know that he got.
What Lecrae said, he never got married. He was broke and homeless.
Exactly, right? And so, and to me, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant because Jesus' status is about the type of person that he was and what he represented and what he did for those who couldn't do it for themselves. So for us, man, as men, we have to be, at least for me, men have to be so singular focused on, man, when I die or when I'm on my deathbed, right? Who's standing around that? Who's there shedding tears that I'm about to leave, right? Who's the people that when they actually come to my funeral, they'll be saying stuff about me that's authentic and genuine, right? When they get to notice that, okay, Saleem died, who are the people that's going to be heartbroken, right? A lot of times people are going to die and their own family will be like, good riddance. Their wife will be like, man, I'm so glad he's dead. Their kids will be like, I don't care. I ain't care nothing about him anyway. It's like, you a failure. And the world will be crying. The world will be like, man, he scored so many touchdowns, or look how much money he made, man. Look how many albums he dropped. And the people that was with him every day are like, or with her every day, like, oh, feel what? Like, y'all knew him as this, but this is who they really were. You a failure. You that's what you are, because you can't fake it with family. You can't fake it. You can't perpetrate. Nope. Your family know who you are. The people that watch you sleep and watch you get up, they know who you are. Yeah. They know who you are. They know what type of person you are. So there's no...
And that's who you really are.
That's who you really are.
That image that you portray on Instagram or whatever, like, that's not who you really are.
No. That's who you are, man. 100%.
Well, Saleem's hot takes, there it is. There's plenty more on his Facebook page. We did not have time to get through them all, man. Bruh. I stopped scrolling at one point because I got.
This is crazy. Like,
I intentionally didn't tell you because I was like, this is gonna be fun, man.
Bro, this was good. Because I got friends of mine that be like, yo, why'd you post that? I'm like, it need to be said. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I see something sometimes and I'm like, if I'm scrolling and I got time, I'm trying to like lay in bed, trying to fall asleep, get tired, I'll be like, oh, Saleem posted something, 80 comments, let's go, I'm gonna read it. Some of them comment sections be popping off, bro.
They be going crazy in the comments. So it's like, all right, some people I'll engage with, and then I see people, I'm like, yo, remember? And I'm like, I don't remember the post, I don't remember it, but like, yeah,
I got receipts. I got receipts of these, so we keep them coming. So, all right, if people wanna follow along, find you online, read some of your hot takes, where can they look you up?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. I'm not sure if I'm on Twitter. I haven't been on Twitter in a long time, but everything is Saleem Wright. Saleem.Wright, Saleem Wright. If you could search Pastor Saleem, you could find that too, but Saleem Wright is everywhere. And so if I post it on Facebook, it's probably going to end up on Instagram. So those are the two primary platforms that I post stuff. And I just maybe my thoughts, man. I might see a video and get inspired to post something, listen to somebody and, hear a sermon or something. So yeah, it comes from, different perspectives and places, man. So.
But not everything that's thought is said. Everything that's said is true. Everything that's said is true. I ain't read a hot take yet that I disagree with, so that's
And I tell people it's okay to disagree with me. Like, that's fine. You don't have to. And honestly, most people be disagreeing. Like, most people be trying to flame me on there, and I'll be like, listen, you don't gotta agree. And they be like, you shouldn't have posted it. I'm like, one is my page. Like, I can.
Right.
You came on my. I done had so many. I'm like, yo, you came over here.
I'm minding my business here.
You came to this page and you want all the attention and all that. So
everyone has their own corner of the internet these days, you know.
These days.
So, well, hey, bro, I appreciate you taking the time to jump on.
Hey,
This
man,
was a fun episode for me to host. Getting to let you provide the material for our conversation, man. This was a blast for me.
Man.
Appreciate you joining on. I
Yes,
think this is a great
man.
conversation for singles, for married folk, men and women alike. So, hey, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate it, man. Honored to be here, man. Thank you for sure.
Hey, I hope y'all had fun with that episode. I know I definitely did. Saleem is a great talk, great conversation. And so appreciate you jumping in with us. Hey, we got some serious stuff coming up in the next couple months. We got another great interview lined up for the next episode. And then we're diving into some really tough topics after that. And so stay tuned, share the podcast, take care of yourself, take care of your family. This is Kicks and Minivans.